question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another. What do I call this? This is going to be the Real Rap Podcast or Real Rap Reviews because this is kind of both mashed into one. I guess we'll call it the 20th
Yeah,
episode of the podcast.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, so this is the 20th Real Rap Podcast. It's also somewhat a Real Rap Review. Um, but yeah, welcome, guys. I'm JP Bonilla, and then over there on the right is my co host, Javi.
hey guys, thanks for tuning in.
And then on the left, we got the general manager of WFCS, as well as the host of editor of the podcast Every Which Way, which airs on our radio station,
Oh my
SonicWave
God.
Radio. We got Aidan Dyer over there.
Hello. Great to be here.
Yeah, so you know they have a lot of familiarity with podcasts as well. We're all here to talk about a movie that, well, I don't know when Javi saw it, but me and Aiden saw it together last week. We saw Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. I'm a very big fan of Mad Max Fury Road, and I was very excited for this movie. This is the rare occasion that you see me and Javi do a review together because we don't do this very often, but I think this is a movie that deserves it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess we have to well, this will be spoilers. There will definitely be spoilers here. So,
Yeah.
I just I wanted to talk about info and everything. But yeah, check out our recent episode by the way, because we're catching up, we caught up on news there. If you guys were looking for news. The quick thing I'll mention is that the last episode of the podcast I didn't mention that The Exorcist got a new director, or I did mention it, but now it's official. Um, so that
Yes,
makes me
yeah, Mike
happy.
Flanagan. Yep.
Yeah, and apparently it's not even connected to the last movie, so that's a good thing. So I guess that's the one thing I could get out
Okay,
of the
so a
way quickly.
whole new fresh start. That's good.
Yep, nothing, not connected, not anything at all. That looks like. Aiden, do you care about spoilers?
Not at all.
Okay, it looks like that the girl in Exorcist Believer will now forever stay in hell for no reason whatsoever. So
Mike
let's,
Flanagan did Hill House and Doctor Sleep, right?
yeah,
Oh, that's kind of huge
uh,
because those are both great. So
yeah.
that's exciting.
And The Exorcist has been pretty shit besides the first and third movie, so it's like they need a good
Yeah.
one. They need a very good one. But yeah, no, that was the big news that came out yesterday. I don't think there's been other big news, but that's not what the podcast is for today. So, yeah, Furiosa. We're not going to talk about box office or anything because like that's irrelevant, at least to me right now. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, different format today. So first, I guess we could talk about what we think of it. I think we'll start with Aiden first. Aiden, what do you think of the movie?
Like number or just thoughts in general?
Everything.
Because I really, really like Furiosa. So I went into it with different expectations than what I got out of it, just because I think it does a different thing with the Mad Max world than any Mad Max movie we've seen so far. It's much more character driven, but I think the characters are all really interesting and really, really fun to watch on screen. And the acting is incredible in it. There are some problems I have with it that we can get into. I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10 if I had to give it a number, although just in general, numbers are something I hate giving movies.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes I have trouble like giving numbers to movies and everything. Like when I make these lists, like end of the year lists, that's how I feel when it
Hmm,
comes to, like it was really hard last year, like picking between Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon. I give those both fives.
that's fair.
So
It's
yeah,
really hard to try to choose quality between like two very similarly rated movies in my heart.
absolutely. Javi, what do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed Furiosa. I saw it last week, and I thought it was pretty good. It's a good, yeah, kind of going off what he said. It's strange because going in, I kind of expected a little bit different, but it is more character driven. And we're used to seeing Mad Max movies just kind of full on like action. You know, their story and all, but just like with Fury Road, it was nothing but, you know, constant nonstop action. But this one was more character driven, and I really did like the characters here. I thought Anya Taylor Joy was a good choice to play Furiosa. She doesn't have too much dialogue in the film, but it's all based on her actions and energy. And Chris Hemsworth, who I surprisingly thought did a really good job as the villain here. I mean, we're so used to seeing him as Thor, a
Yeah.
superhero, but he plays the villain pretty well in this film. And I thought it was fun, and the action sequences too, pretty cool. They live up to the Mad Max expectations, and overall, an enjoyable time. I had a good time with it.
I agree with you guys. First off, let me get this out of the way because I know some people will question this. My camera is off because my camera's not working properly at the moment. It looks very bad and it's very like it's just not syncing with my voice. So enjoy this picture of man, not Batman, just man. But
Just man.
just man. But you know, at least you get to see Aidan and Javi's wonderful faces. But with that said, I agree with both of you. I really loved Furiosa. So far, it's my movie of the year. That's also because I haven't seen Dune Part 2 yet. I actually did start today. But so far, it's been my favorite movie of the year. Maybe it might stay that way depending on how, I after I finish Dune Part 2. But I really like the acting. And something both of you might have not mentioned too, or you didn't mention too much of, or at all. I love the makeup a lot. Like I told Aiden this once we got out of the theater. There were times that I forgot Chris Hemsworth was in the movie because, and it's not like he had like a drastic change or anything. They literally just made his nose bigger and changed his hair
Yeah.
color a little bit, and like it just looked like a completely different person. Like I did not recognize him for a second. It's also the voice too. Like he has a way different voice than he talks as Thor and some other movies, where he usually has a his regular accent or his or this might be his regular accent. I don't even know what his regular accent is sometimes, but I'm guessing Thor is more along the lines of his regular accent. But like for the most part, I think I really enjoyed this movie. And another thing that me and Aiden also said too is that for anyone who hasn't seen it, but is somehow still in this review for some reason, if you haven't seen it, um, basically, if you watched Mad Max Fury Road, you shouldn't expect this to be Mad Max Fury Road. This is its own separate thing. Like this is more character driven than action driven. There isn't too much action in this one compared to Fury Road, whereas that one's just a whole action sequence turned into a 2 hour movie, which is amazing. And that's why it's one of the best. But this one, like, I feel like it builds upon the world of Mad Max, especially I mean, it takes some stuff from the video game, even though the video game was said to be not canon now. But it like builds on the world of Fury Road, and that's something I really liked a lot. And I liked how we got to know more of these characters and everything. Like it's some really good world building stuff, and like George Miller, like it's the fact that he had these ideas for years and years and years. Like I, this movie has been in development since '09, I think, like around the same time he developed Fury Road, he was developing Furiosa, and
Yeah, as far as I've seen the oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead. I've been talking too long.
I was just gonna say, as far as I've seen, the story of Furiosa as we see it was for the most part given to Charlize Theron. I never know how to pronounce
Theron,
it. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Theron, as basically a character bio, essentially a big long character bio for her character,
yeah,
and was already kind of not only in development but written pretty much as we see it from George Miller at the time of making Fury Road, which is an incredible testament to his world building and character storytelling.
yeah, and like you could tell like this was made along the same, at the same time as Fury Road. Like it's not like it's not like something where a lot of prequels where they're made after and they build on the lore after like the character and everything. Like this is all done at the same time. Like he had all these ideas and everything, put it into this movie. um like stuff that he could not put in Fury Road for this character and everything. It's really cool to see, like he doesn't care about like, what year this takes place in or whatever. Like he just does. And that's one thing I appreciate a lot about these movies. Like you don't really know when they take place. Like um I mean, like, I guess like one, two, three, like you can easily say, like, yeah, that's like, in chronological order, obviously, because they are. But Fury Road, it's like, when does it take place? Like, obviously after Furiosa, but um, it's interesting, because the proposed next movie would be The Wasteland, and that's apparently before Fury Road. So this might be a trilogy that goes backwards, which I think would be pretty cool. Um, but it's stuff like that that I just really like. Like it's it cares more about building on the story than it does like actually getting all like something like the MCU where they care more about timeline and everything.
Yeah, and I think that allows them to be a little bit more creative and flexible with the world that they create. So, I mean, if you look at Mad Max 1, it's pre-apocalyptic, and then you look at Road Warrior, and it's post-apocalyptic, but it's still much more lush than the world we see. And then suddenly in Mad Max 3, it's all wasteland, and that's how it is for the rest of the time we see Mad Max as far as we've seen it so far. Um, and this kind of folktale storytelling that they do with Mad Max, you never really care how old the character is, how long he's been in the wasteland. It's just stories about the wasteland. And I think that gives them a lot of freedom to do whatever they want with just the world that's being created. And what's interesting to me about Mad Max as a genre or as a series is until Furiosa, we had never seen a return to a location.
Yeah,
Um, every single movie is its own location. So it's what makes Furiosa kind of a weird outlier, but as is said in the title, it's not a it's not a Mad Max movie in the same way. This is now a saga.
yeah,
But before that, we never seen the same location. We barely seen the same characters, even if for some reason the actor is playing them the same. It's constantly changing because the story of each movie was isolated, even though there was one character consistent through all of it.
yeah. And it was also interesting to see for once ever since Mad Max, I don't know, one or two, that they do actually have a place with grass and all this stuff. Like I found that really interesting too, like because we don't see that in Fury Road. Everything's like gone to shit by the time Fury Road happens. Like there's nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
all desert and sand and yeah,
like crazy
very
people trying to
dry.
kill
It's
you.
dry. Yeah, these tribes, they have all these tribes and yeah.
Yep.
And that's another thing I want
Well,
to bring up too. Um, just how zany everything is here. Like these people, this is a world that's fucking crazy, like absolutely nuts, and I love that because it's something where I guess on paper you read it and you can't take this seriously because you got guys like Rictus or Rectus, names like that, and like just crazy stupid names. But because we see everything in this universe that they're like people literally trying to steal your blood and um just so they can have donations and all this other stuff. Like these are like insane people and everything. Like I
That
think
was
that's
crazy. Yeah,
another thing.
that's going back to I remember the opening of Fury Road. Yeah, they take him and they get his blood and they have him tattooing it like what kind of blood he has and yeah, you have a lot of characters throughout the film, and a lot of them are just like crazy and like over the top people. And then some of them have their own gangs, their own tribes, and it's really fun to see like this creation in this world that George Miller creates because he creates this really just like crazy world. It's like post-apocalyptic and just everyone. It's all for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
So
what I
yeah.
love about the crazy in all of the Mad Max movies, but I think it's especially true in Fury Road and then in Furiosa, they double down on it, is that all of its crazy moments always feel only one step past where we are in terms of survival. Like
Mhm.
all of the crazy things they're doing are exactly what they need to do to survive the horrific wasteland that is Mad Max. You see and like even when you see all of Morton Joe's followers screaming "Witness me" as they like kill themselves. They clearly have this really built-in religion, and religion is so ingrained into our society as a way of understanding the world and maneuvering it and connecting with other people that it looks crazy to us from the outside because it's not something that we quite understand since it's not our society. But at the same time, it feels completely believable as to why they would make this the new society that the world is run on. And like even with getting food, in Furiosa, they have after she loses her arm, they have her in that cave where the people are just like in a pile of bodies and they're just getting the maggots off, and it's never
Yeah.
directly
Oh,
stated, but
yeah.
it's implied that that's
Same.
basically a food farm.
Yeah.
And it's probably the most disturbing movie in the scene to me, but that's where they get all the maggots for all their maggot stews and whatever they're making for their meals, is this like body farm, and it's disturbing, it's gross, it looks crazy, but at the same time these are the steps they need to take to survive. So the world building in it isn't just like let's make it zany and fun, but also let's make it zany and fun and weird, but in a way where I understand it to fit this world.
Yeah. Let's
Absolutely.
get.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. I was gonna say, yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, you see that too in Fury Road, just a lot of like weird, bizarre stuff with like what they do for their food and their milk and the blood. It's just like a lot of odd stuff to survive. Yeah, it makes it, interesting. It's bizarre, but it makes it interesting and it flows well with the story that he's trying to, tell about this world gone mad.
Yeah, and I want to get to I want to get into the story a little bit. So let's talk about some
Yeah.
stuff in it. Like, I want to talk about specific parts. But okay, so actually no, yeah, this is kind of more specific parts. I want to talk about the character of, I hope, Dementus, um, or as Red Letter Media said, Doctor Dementus, because it sounds a little bit like Doctor Demento. Um, I love. I think he's the best part of the movie, in my opinion, by far. Not by far, but
uh,
by far, maybe. I love how pathetic this guy is. Like, he is actually pathetic because there's so many things, and it makes me want to rewatch. I'm gonna rewatch this movie maybe sometime this week because I love it. And there's so many things I didn't catch on, um, which I'll mention on later. One of the things is that I never realized how the build up of Dementus. Like, this guy looks like such a threat in the beginning and everything, and then by the end
Mhm.
of it you realize how much of a loser he actually is and how incompetent he is. And the only reason why he looked threatening is because his victory was over like a 10-year-old girl. So it's like, of course that he's gonna look like, of course he's gonna look great because he beat a child. So like he looks so threatening. He looks like, barbaric and everything. But I also love that didn't make him such a total piece of shit. And that makes sense. Like, he is one, but like I feel like, one of the biggest things is that he does crucify Furiosa's mother, which makes him a piece of shit, of course, and like um but in the beginning and everything, it also, I do like that they show that, like, while he does these things, he also has a side of him that's like caring, and like he wants to make sure that Furious is safe to the point where he was fighting not to like sell her to or give her to a Mortan Joe for her to be a wife of his, because like he just felt like, he found like every way to protect her. Like, when that guy kidnapped her, like his first instinct was like, oh yeah, just uh we want you to, send to this place, but you know what, we're gonna feed you, give you a shower, all this stuff, treat you well.
Yeah.
Like, I do like that about him in the film.
I wholeheartedly agree. Dementus is my favorite character. I don't know if I'd say by far, but I do know every time he was on screen, the movie was better for it.
Yeah.
And I love that you're seeing the movie through Furiosa's eyes, not quite literally, but you know, she is the narrator of our story in a lot of ways. And we're seeing her perspective. So I agree. I love that they make Dementis this terrifying figure at the beginning. And over the movie, he starts to look dumber and more pathetic as it goes on. But you see these title changes as well.
Yeah, right.
Dementis is constantly changing his title, so I think he starts as the Great Dementis. You know, when he first finds Furiosa, and everyone's scared of the Great Dementis, you know, leader of the bike horde.
Mhm.
But once he goes to the capital, or to capital, sorry, to the Citadel, he's Dementis the Red, or the Red Dementis. I think it's Dementis the
Yeah.
Red.
Something like that.
And then when he's fighting Furiosa at the end, he goes, "You made me Dark Dementis," you know, and now he's Dark Dementis, and it's like that's the dumbest name possible. He's suddenly, you know, I'm evil Dementis now, but like those names kind of show this transition into a less imposing figure as time goes on. What I always find interesting is that even the things he does that you can see as good, I don't think exist on a moral binary just because I don't think anything in Mad Max does.
Yeah.
So like I never knew how to feel about Dementis watching. You know, you watch him like do horrific things to Furiosa's mom. And at that point I'm
Yeah.
like ready to throw up. I'm watching this just completely disturbed. Um and then he starts to take care of Furiosa. You know, he says like, "Oh, you don't have to tell me anything. Just go get some rest, and we won't worry about it. We'll just get you some food." Um, and he's talking about his daughter, or I think his children. I don't think he explicitly says daughter. That he lost and how the teddy bear used to be theirs. So he's like clearly connecting, trying to be like this father figure, and he tries to save Furiosa, but at the same time, it's like how much of this is to suit his, like to fit his needs.
Yeah.
You know, Furiosa is the one person, the thing, if you will, because I don't even know if he sees her as a person as much as a thing at the early parts of the movie, that knows about a place of abundance where he can be the great Dementis forever. You know, and so yeah, I would treat her like royalty if I'm trying to get to the place of abundance. I would say, yeah, you don't got to tell me anything. Just go eat up. If you can trust me with your life, then you can trust me with the place of abundance. And so I wonder how much is him trying to sell that point in a way, because he's clearly shown to lie and manipulate so often through the movie. You know,
Mhm.
when he gets to the Citadel, he tells them, you know, don't listen to your leaders, rise up, reject the authority. You know, but he just wants to be the next authority, as shown in
Yeah.
Gastown later. You know, and he stops Immortan Joe from taking her as his wife, but again, she knows of a new place of abundance. If his plan to get into the Citadel doesn't work, he still needs her. So the only reason he really trades up with her is because he's like, okay, this is the only way I get Gastown, which is his ticket into the Citadel.
Yeah.
And he'd rather bank on that than Furiosa, who hasn't spoken until Immortan Joe asks her a question. You know, I don't know how much of what Dementis does is out of the goodness of his heart, if it's out of some sick, twisted thought that he could be a father again, or if it really is just him trying to fit his needs. And I don't think the movie ever really needs to answer that, which is interesting. But it just makes
Yeah.
him a character that I always have a big question mark on.
I feel like it was a little bit genuine at points. But like you said, we don't really know because it's like I feel like it's like because I'm gonna use a wrestling analogy here. The perfect one, Roman Reigns, right? Like
Okay.
he, hear me out. Like so, I was like, because he's doing this stuff with Chad. There's the Chad Gable stuff and everything, all this stuff, and there's like a comparison. So Roman Reigns, like he in his own twisted way was bringing up others. He wanted like the Usos to become the best tag team in the world, and he wanted like all this stuff and like he wanted to seem like, you know, the head of the table, like the leader, and show like, hey, look at all these people, like they're as successful as I am or close to it. But as long as they don't touch like the head of the the tribal chief role or the WWE championship, then it's all good. But until then, like if you try to go after that, he will fuck you up and disown you and everything. That's the vibe I get like from Dementis, if that makes sense. Like I feel like in a way, and I feel like I explained that wrong too. I feel like he does want his family to succeed, but also because it has like a double meaning, like because he wants to see his, because that's his family, but also like he's just doing it for himself. When it comes to Mantis here, I feel like that's a similar case where he wants Furiosa as a daughter, and he also wants her to like fall in line and everything. Um, as well, and tell him where this place is, this place of the green place, where they have all this stuff and, for everyone to survive. I feel like he's similar to that, where it's just like you don't really know his true intentions, like, like sometimes at least, like, sometimes it seems like, oh, like he wants to be, like he is just doing this just to get more power, but other times it's just like, okay, well, he does seem to actually like care and will care for this person by any means necessary, but is he also doing that just to benefit himself? Like, you just never know. And I do, like you said, I do really think that's a very cool way of storytelling here, because it just gives you a lot of question marks. You never really know the true motivations. But then that leads to like the end, like the final battle at the end, where I feel like he was really soft to her, like in a way that he's not with others. And I feel like that shows me a little bit that maybe he actually did care for her, because once he's like, "Oh, little D, is that you?" and all this stuff, like I don't know, I feel like there was a little bit of genuine feel like father figure feelings right there.
I I don't disagree. I definitely think there were, and I definitely
Yeah.
think that the interesting thing about his character is that that's something there. You know,
Hmm.
there is definitely a feeling of like fatherhood that he gets from little D that he hasn't had since he lost his children, or presumably lost his children. But again, my one thing is the only time he's ever really being portrayed as a family man is when he wants something from Furiosa
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. So like the difference I feel there is between Roman Reigns and Dementis in this world we've painted
Yeah.
is that I think Roman Reigns genuinely is a family man who wants power. I think Dementis is a man who wants power, and
Uh,
sometimes that means being a family man,
yeah.
if that makes sense. I think that Dementis would rather the power, which is why he's so willing to trade little D, his own
Hmm.
daughter, uh to Immortan Joe to become a wife, to basically become a breeder. He's so willing to do that the moment he gets the option of Gastown because he wants the power, he wants the
Yeah.
respect, he wants the authority. He's also willing to then shoot um the Octoboss gang. I'm forgetting their name. It starts with an M.
I
Um,
forgot their name. Shoot. Yeah.
the Octoboss gang.
Yeah.
He starts just shooting them off of the war rig
Hmm.
because he wants power, and
Yeah.
he is scum, as the Octoboss said. You are scum. You will kill your friends, the people that trust you, to get that power. And if he's willing to do that, I don't think Roman Reigns would do that because Roman Reigns had enough power. He had enough power as tribal chief that he didn't need to take more. Dementis is always pushing for the next thing. You know what I mean?
Depends, because I love how we got into Roman Reigns here.
I know, I know.
But like I feel like that's not also the case, like, because Roman did want more. Like, yeah, we at the end, like we saw him at the most powerful and everything. Like he got the basically Roman in wrestling is what Dementis wishes he was in this wasteland. Like he just
Mm.
had not gotten there. Like, because in the beginning, Roman was still wanting to, like he was looking to get more power. That's why he when told the Usos get the tag team championships. Then he wanted more, so that's why he went for the to unify both world championships. Then he wanted the Usos to go unify both tag team championships. Like there was always more in the way and everything, and he
I don't
was
I don't know if Dementis would set having the Usos of championship, the tag team championship,
yeah.
his hand in that pot.
Um,
At least the vibe I'm getting from Dementis is that he always seemed to be wanting more power. It's
yeah.
why he starts to try to push for war with
Mm,
Bullet Town. He wasn't content with Gastown. He needs the Bullet Farm. He needs the Citadel. He needs all of it,
mhm,
even if he's running it like shit. You
yeah.
know, I don't think he would be content with saying, "Hey, you go do this thing to get us more power." It's
Mm.
about you doing this thing so I have more power. Is the big difference I see.
Ultimately, like all that power went to Roman anyway. Like that was the point of them
Well,
winning
yeah,
the tag team champ because it gave him more leverage. Because it's like, oh, I have this super group, and if you don't follow what we say, we're gonna do this and that, or we're just not gonna do anything at all. We're just not gonna wrestle.
that's fair. Um, Point being, I think Dementus is such an interesting character because there are
Yeah,
different interpretations. I think we could go back and forth on this for a
yeah.
good like 3 hours, because I think there's a lot to Dementus's character. I think in a lot of ways he is the star of this movie,
Mm.
uh, because he spends the most time on screen in terms of like at least the actor, because it's Hemsworth the whole time, whereas Furiosa's split between two actresses. Um, and
He's
Dementis is the one who gets a ton of development as a character.
and
Yeah, Hemsworth, he gets a lot of. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot, so I know you haven't. Yeah, I want to get your
No, I was
thoughts
gonna
too. I
say
was
that
gonna mention that.
he Dementis, he gets a lot of Hemsworth gets a lot of screen time in the film, and noticing it too, it kind of in a way too, it kind of is strange because when you think about Furiosa, you think of, oh, she'll have the more screen time, but a little bit here and kind of talk about Anya Taylor Joy now as Furiosa. We don't
Mm,
see Anya Taylor Joy in like the first act at all. Like she's like
No.
in like the first
no.
45 minutes, almost an hour. And I was surprised by that because I honestly thought, we would see her probably about like, 15, 20 minutes into the movie, but it took its time really introducing her. And she doesn't have that much dialogue in the film too either. I mean, then again, Furiosa, Charlize Theron, when she did Fury Road, she didn't have too much dialogue. In the Mad Max movies, a lot of the characters don't have too much dialogues. A lot of them are kind of quiet, one word people. Because
Damon
if you look
Max had
at it,
like
Tom
35
Hardy,
words.
with Tom's character, he hardly spoke, and Mel
Yeah.
Gibson, when he portrayed Mad Max, they hardly spoke. So a lot of it, I think, is built on like its energy and actions. And with Hemsworth, he's a big star. So I mean, so is Anya Taylor Joy, but with Hemsworth, we know him from like Thor, MCU.
Mm,
You see a lot of actions, but with Anya Taylor Joy, yeah, you see kind of less dialogue from her, but she still is able to carry the film very well as Furiosa and get her points across and get what she wants, fights for what she believes in, and still is end up to stand tall as a hero with someone who we see more of the villain of than less than the hero. And I thought that was interesting. George Miller set that up because really think about it like, okay, Anya Taylor Furiosa, this movie should be about her and she should be in like almost every scene. And that's not always the case. So I just found that kind of interesting, how they portrayed the hero and the villain, where you kind of see a little bit more of the villain, but then again, you still get the hero, and the hero, of course, is going to win at the end. Like most cases. So I thought it was very interesting. But besides all that, though, I mean, I think again, Anya Taylor Joy, she was a good choice. She carried the film very well, and yeah, I'm definitely glad to see her in this role. I think it was a role that suited her well, and I can't wait to see what she's in next because she's been kind of crushing it a lot lately. For the past few years now.
oh yeah. And I actually did want to mention something because you said, like that was one thing I wanted to bring up later on too, but I could do it now.
Mhm.
This is why I wanted to rewatch it. I think Aiden, let Aiden explain it more because I feel like they could explain it better than I did. But I don't know if you noticed, Javi, there was like a transition, like a very cool transition that I didn't even think about, and that's why I have to rewatch. But I could let Aiden take it from here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta be honest. I think half their CGI budget went into this one trick, but basically they started to, I guess, digitally put Anya Taylor Joy's face onto the kid actress's face. So as the more scenes went on, there was a little bit more of Anya Taylor Joy's features in this child
Features.
actor, so that you slowly see as the scenes go on, you're watching her grow up in front of you. So when you switch actresses, doesn't even look like something happened. You get to the point where you're just questioning, oh, did it already is that Anya Taylor Joy now, or is that still the kid? And like your brain doesn't process it until all of a sudden, like, you're well past where the transition has happened and you're like, okay, it's for sure Anya Taylor Joy. I can say that for certain. And I remember the first time I watched it, like nothing clicked. There
Yeah.
was no thought about it. It was just like Furiosa, 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 same character all the way through. It's one of the coolest uses of like facial CGI stuff I've ever seen because it really worked so well for the film and is just a great use of CGI where my brain was thoroughly tricked. And the only reason I noticed it in the second one was because I'd already read an article about how they did it.
Oh, nice. That's interesting. I didn't even know because when she's growing up, you kind of see her. She's working on the car and stuff, and for most of the time, she has like the mask over her face. She's like,
Yep.
so I didn't. Yeah, I have to. Whenever we watch it, I have to look out for that because yeah, that totally missed me. But
It's
that's
it
cool though.
it works really, really well. And I didn't expect it to, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I
Nice.
thought that was really cool to hear about. That's why I got to rewatch because I don't even think I actually know. Like I figured when and I figured like there when Anya was on the screen like it was like I'm like, oh, that's Anya finally. But I
Hmm.
didn't even like I don't think I processed ever like
Able to
like
process it right
yeah,
away. Yeah.
like it was just
Yeah, I feel.
oh, you could.
No, go ahead.
I was just
Oh no, I was just gonna say. Oh, sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
it's like that's the issue with Discord, man. Sometimes like it's like
Yeah.
well, especially with my camera's off, that doesn't help. But I was just gonna say like I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's like really good, filmmaking right there. Something that you wouldn't have noticed, just going in. That just keeps it straight, keeps it general, keeps it fresh, and yeah, that is a cool effect because now that you pointed that out, I wouldn't have, I would have noticed, and I feel like a lot of people who would going into the film will probably miss that, probably, and then until someone points it out and then rewatch. Oh, okay, now I see the similarities, the eyes, the face, and but that's a cool usage though for sure, and it's a cool way because really, when I was watching the movie, I was just like saying the movie's been going on for a while now, and I haven't seen her. She's still a kid. But again, it's all about its like storytelling and its pacing. It kind of took its time with it growing up. Sometimes you don't need to rush. Sometimes you gotta take its time, and it worked well because it was developing her story and just basically showing the struggles and like the hell that she went to, as a kid.
And the strength that was born out of it. Because I gotta say,
Exactly. Yeah.
the amount of strength that Furiosa had, like both physical but also mental, to still have the same resolve that she had when she was a child to go to the green place, I don't think I would have had that. I don't think I would have had that. At a certain point,
Yeah,
I'd be like, you know what? My life is the wasteland. I don't think I'm getting back there. This place sucks. I'm not gonna make it that far.
yeah, it might not even
But
exist
she
anymore
is
either.
right, right, which ends up happening.
Yeah,
It might not even exist, and like that kind of possibility, I don't even think it really crossed her mind. She was
yeah.
just like, "Yeah, we're going back. We are going to do it."
Mm.
And one thing that I think was interesting about casting Anya Taylor-Joy is just in general. I think as an actress, she's like widely known as being like one of the most like regal actresses in Hollywood right now.
Mm.
She really carries herself with just like an authority that is very unique, but I would not expect it from Furiosa, I'm expecting this like wasteland survivor. So it was kind of a concern for me. I was like, how is she going to fit into this role? The moment she was on screen, I didn't doubt it. I didn't
No.
doubt that that was Furiosa for a second. I feel like she filled the role of that character so well, and so expressive because as we've said, there's barely any dialogue from her. I think she has half the dialogue that Tom Hardy's Max had. If I'm remembering, I think Max had like 60 lines of dialogue and she has like 30 something. I could be wrong or I could be mixing those two numbers, but either way, very little dialogue, but she's still able to just through eye expressions, facial expressions, tell so much about how she's feeling and how the character is feeling. And I also just for some reason never doubt that she's doing all the crazy shit that she's doing throughout that movie. It just
Also,
it just works.
I thought it was cool that she also sounded exactly like Charlize Theron and Fury Road too. Like you like listen to those two voices and it's like nearly identical. I gotta respect her for that too. Like I've always
Yeah.
loved her acting and everything. Um, I I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I ever had doubts about her doing this role. I know a lot of people like had like not doubts, but like some like I don't know if concerns is the right word, but you know what I mean. It's like some like
Yeah.
thoughts like, can she do this and everything. But for some reason, I don't know. I just maybe it's because of her role in Split or something like that. Like I just feel like something about her could do that. I don't know. I just never had any doubts. I feel like if George Miller saw something in her, then I feel like that's the right. He's making the right choice.
And
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
fair. I will say for me, I didn't have as much experience watching movies that had Anya Taylor-Joy in it. I'd only seen The Queen's Gambit and The Menu with her in it. I can name. Oh, and she's Magic in New Mutants. I saw
Yeah, I
that.
forgot about that too. I
That
forgot I
that
saw New
certainly is a
Mutants.
movie.
It exists.
But it exists. I forgot about it, but she's in it. But since I'd had very little experience watching movies with her in it, like, I think most of the doubts just kind of became like I don't know this actress very well, and I just doubt prequels in general. Which is its own thing we could get into later, but anyways.
For me, George Miller, like whenever his name's on something, I don't think except for Happy Feet 2. We don't talk about that. I feel like
Happy Feet too, yeah.
I feel like anytime I see his name on something, I'm like, okay. He's just one of those directors where I just have a lot of trust in him to like, make a great story and make something like I he's there are many directors where I feel doubts, that they could pull it off.
Yep.
He's not one of those directors. He's like for me he's like on like Martin Scorsese levels of consistency where you see his name attached to a project as a director and you're like, okay, this shit's going to be fun. This shit's going to be good. Like it's gonna be a great story. This is gonna be a great experience in the theater, and I will be there day one type of thing. Like I
Yep.
just do not have any doubts of that man, and he proved it here with Furiosa. Like he made a great prequel, a great this, and the thing is too. I don't know the best way to put it. Like it didn't really feel like a prequel either to me. Like I don't know the best way to put it. Like it felt like it could have just been its own thing if that makes sense too. I mean, of course, like you don't really need to see Fury Road to watch this, but like also, it just expands so much on from Fury Road that it's just so like I feel like it's just so good to like so complimentary to watch it without Fury Road because of all this stuff that you saw with Immortan Joe, Rictus Erectus, Scrotus. I just want to say those names, but like with all these guys, and and then Dementis and everyone else there, like there's just so much to like there's so much building for what's to come later on that it's like wow, like it's just cool, to see, especially to see like guys like Immortan Joe who like he's so intimidating. Not that he's not intimidating here, but like I feel like in this movie, Joe's like not the same guy he was in Fury Road. I feel like like he has less power. He definitely does have less power, but also like he he just like I don't want to say more vulnerable, but somewhat
A little bit more
In
tamer.
Furiosa?
in Furiosa. Not vulnerable, but like he's a lot more tamer. Definitely a lot more tamer is the best way
Yeah.
to put it.
Character, yeah, for sure. But going back to what you said about Furiosa, like not feeling like a prequel, I feel like yeah, this movie could definitely stand on its own. I feel like when Fury Road came out in 2015, a lot of people probably hadn't seen any of the Mad Max movies, like the ones with Mel Gibson. So I hear what you're saying about Furiosa, like standing alone. Like I feel like I mean, obviously it helps because you don't need to see Fury Road to see Furiosa, but obviously helps because there are a few references here and there, especially with the ending too, Furiosa. But overall, yeah, I mean, I feel like this movie could definitely stand on its own, like kind of Fury Road stand on its own in a way. I feel like you don't need to necessarily watch all the Mad Max movies to enjoy it. Because to be honest, I'm not really the biggest fan of the Mel Gibson Mad Max movies. The only one that I like is Road Warrior out of all those
Yeah.
three,
That's
the
easily
original
the best one.
trilogy. Yeah, that's the
Besides
best
It's
one,
the
Road
Road
best,
Warrior.
and it feels like a blueprint to Fury Road, which is
Yeah.
then easily the best one since then. So
Yeah.
I think Road Warrior is the only one that's like really worth rewatching unless you like grew up on them.
And the
Yeah.
first one too. I see the first one I ever watched is Fury Road, but I
Favorite.
Mhm.
I do love all 5 of these movies. Like, you know,
A five.
Even Beyond Thunderdome, even Beyond Thunderdome, I like that movie a
I
lot.
still haven't finished it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I got to the halfway point, the point where everyone says that it's boring when you get to the children camp,
Yeah,
and I couldn't finish it. I got so bored watching it.
like I do generally love all these movies. So, um, like it's not like it's I'd say it's like one of those franchises where I'm just like, I'm a big fan of them and I go out to. It's not like Bad Boys where I've seen all of them, but I'm not like, die. Which I will see Bad Boys Ride or Die if that's
Yes, yes.
but that's beyond the point. But like, it's like one of those movies where I'm just like, yeah, I will watch all of them in theaters and well if I can, but but like yeah, it just stands well on its own. Um and overall I think it's just pretty good. A really, really good movie. And I look forward to The Wasteland. Now, we've been talking a lot of positively about this movie, and deservedly so because it's a very good movie. But I know that you guys have some gripes of it. So let's talk about those. I'll start off. And I know Aiden agreed to. The CGI was pretty wonky at some points. I will say that. That's my one negative. I think that's like the only like really big negative for me. Like, I just feel like there's some points where it's just like, okay, it looks very meh in here. Not horrendous
Yeah,
meh.
I think for sure the CGI did not stand up. That's why I made the joke earlier. I think half the budget went into the one facial uh, reconstruction CGI that they did as she grew up. I think the rest of it didn't hold up. That one, like, I never noticed her face had CGI bits on it. Like, I think Mandalorian, you see Luke's face and it's like really CG, very obvious. But like that, I never noticed it. I didn't feel it. Every other bit of CGI, I was like, okay, we're watching CGI now. This is just a computer generated image. It was very clear, which is just disappointing because Mad Max is so known as a series for its practical effects and for its incredible action with practical effects.
There's a
And like for the most part,
misconception
that's still
about that
true.
though. There's a misconception
Um,
about that though. I will say that. The first three definitely were, but Fury Road definitely had
yeah,
its fair
well,
share of CGI.
Fury Road, yeah, especially everything after they basically turn around and come back.
Yeah.
You can really tell in Fury Road where there's some CGI. I will not pretend that Fury Road is not or that Fury Road is exempt from this. Fury Road definitely has its CGI issues.
Yeah.
But for some reason, even though we're, what, 9 years down the line, Furiosa feels more noticeable with it, which is
Yeah.
weird.
I'm not sure why, but like it just does. Like at some points, like with his official role in this movie is named like War Boy or something like that. But the guy that shout out to this guy by the way, the guy that was casted because by it was War Pup. He was the guy that was
Oh,
the
the
kid that was
Bommy
casted.
Knocker boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the small kid. Yeah,
the one that he used to get bullied in school, and then George Miller heard about his story. Like that was cool to see. By the way, that's another positive about this movie. Seeing, like now those guys that were bullying him are like, well, shit. Like
he's a
these
movie
guys,
star now, and the
yeah, he's a
movies.
movie star in a $168 million movie, and we like but like it was like that scene where I'm just like, okay, it's really noticeable there, like that he's like like that it's CGI. Like it's like it's not like too bad, and like I think for the most part the CGI is good to passable, but there are some scenes where it's like, yeah, like that looked a little bit weird. But sometimes I did tell Aiden this in the car ride back to their place. Like I think sometimes I don't know if I'm confused between his style of movie because Fury Road had a specific style and like obviously that carried over to Furiosa. So like there are times where I can't tell if it's like generally bad CGI or that's just his style that he's going for. I think that was the only scene where I'm just like, okay, that's definitely bad CGI.
Yeah, if it is his style, respectfully to George Miller, I'm not a fan. If it is, to me, it just looks like bad CGI.
Mm,
I could see the argument that that's just his style though, because I think it definitely. I don't know. To me, it also almost gave it a cartoony feel, which
yeah.
I don't think is the best for Mad Max. But I also I will say that wasn't my only gripe. I don't
Oh, yeah.
like the scene. I don't um I don't like the scene at the end where they're or I guess it's the credits. They're
Oh, I
showing
knew you
all
were
the
gonna
Fury
bring that
Road.
up. I knew you were gonna.
I don't like it. I just don't. I
What do you
don't.
think, Javi?
The ending with where they're showing where she's gonna save the wives, right? That's what you're talking about, where they would show
Well,
No,
cutbacks.
like the end credits, like where they showed like footage from Fury Road.
Oh, Fury Road, like the clips, right? The
Yeah.
yeah.
clips from the movie. I mean, me personally, I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, I thought it was fine. Um, I'm trying to think of flaws in the movie. To be honest, I don't really have too many flaws. I mean, yeah, kind of the CGI a little bit. Uh, I think sometimes probably some of the pacing a little bit of the movies. There were some segments, that were a little bit slow. Which eventually picked up, later on. But I think there are some parts that were kind of a little bit slow. I think kind of going back to what I said earlier about the beginning, I kind of feel like after Dementis kind of killed Furiosa's mother, it kind of was a little bit of a slow pickup after that for it to kind of pick up. But other than that, though, I didn't really have too many gray areas besides just some of the pacing. I think
Mm,
in the end, but other than that, yeah, there wasn't too many flaws. Just I think just the beginning pacing a little bit was a little bit of a throw off, but for
I
the
could
most
agree
part,
with that.
you then it starts kicking in, after a while.
I could agree with that a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely think the pacing is a little bit off. I think it's a little too slow at certain points, but I think that's also just like, I think there's a little bit of an expectation for Mad Max to be a bit faster paced than if I were watching a different movie. I will say for those end credits, I'm not done with them.
Before you say that
I
though,
will. Okay, go ahead.
just to say it quickly, I feel like a movie. I feel like when it comes to pacing, this and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes like had the same like issue in the beginning with pacing, kinda. But I
yeah,
get
that's
why
true.
because
Yeah,
they're
Yeah,
trying to build this new world, like because it's in a
yeah,
different time. So I get it. I get it. It was
and
just
new
like
characters are
it's
being
slow at
added.
first.
Yeah,
I feel like it's something you like. I'll appreciate like I like of course like I said I love the movie. I give it 4.5 out of 5 by the way on my letterbox.
mm.
But I think on the second go around, knowing what I watched and everything, I feel like I'm gonna have more of an appreciation for the slow pacing and what they're doing, what they're trying to do, and showing you like how like new this world is like compared to past films.
yeah,
I will be honest. I found on my second watch it was a little bit too slow for me.
Mm,
Just because I kind of felt like I was trying to patiently wait for things I already knew were coming and was excited to see.
yeah.
The moments I was really looking forward to because I'd already seen how they built up the world. I didn't need to see how they built up the world again. I
Mm,
definitely appreciate what they're doing, and I do agree that like it was necessary for this movie to have the pacing it had. But I think it makes it stand up a little bit worse on a rewatch than something like Fury Road, where they do no world building, nothing. They just say, "All right, the world is how it is, and go enjoy."
all the action. Yeah, Fury Road is just like action pace. Like I rewatched
Yeah,
Fury Road going into this movie, and yeah, Fury Road is it's just all action right from the second the scene starts, the credits roll to the credits end. And Furiosa, it definitely takes its time building up for sure.
yeah. And I think on top of that, I think that like part of part of the problem with prequels in general that I feel exists is that sometimes it's explaining things I don't need explained. I think
mm.
the biggest example, and it's one of the most memed on examples on the planet, is Solo, with the random moment where
Yeah,
suddenly, oh, Han, you're alone? Solo. All right. Like I don't need that. His name could just be Han Solo.
yeah.
Um, One of the things I like about Furiosa is for the most part, I don't think it does that. It just feels like we're just watching her live in the same world. And the world still in the same way that Fury Road built up the world as just like small little moments or actions, it still builds up the same thing. But I will say I don't think that's always true. I don't think having a Max cameo in it was necessary at all.
Oh, that's your other negative.
Um, I
Um,
don't like it. I think
okay.
it's unnecessary and like it just felt like, hey, look at me, we're still a Mad Max movie. And like even on a first watch through, it wasn't noticeable. So we just kind of like zoomed out to this random guy because I was just not thinking about Max at all in this movie because why would he show up? So it
Yeah.
wasn't until the second watch through that I was like, oh, that's why I saw that character the first time. So
So,
so to me, it just kind of took my attention away from what I was already watching because the first time when I wasn't thinking about Max, I was just like, oh, is this person gonna find Furiosa? What's this
mhm.
moment? No, it's just a cameo that's for some reason right in the middle of the camera.
To be honest, I didn't mind the cameo. I liked it. It was just, it was just fun. It's just, when you think Max would have remembered Furiosa and Fury Road?
And that's
But
the other thing. It's like,
then again, I guess probably not either because she was a lot younger and had longer hair, and it's not like she would have remembered him because she was knocked out and he just
Yeah.
helped. Like he probably, I guess it makes sense because then again, I'm
and
also
he meets a
thinking,
lot of people.
yeah, he meets a lot of fucked up people too. So it's like it's probably easy to forget this one random person that he, you know, doesn't that he's only like helping out and then just kind of drops her off at some disgusting ass place with with bugs all over people and some crazy old lady saying, "Stay here, it's better for you." Like,
Yeah.
um, it's so, but I didn't have a problem with the cameo. It was like it was fun. Um,
It definitely worked as like a convenient transition into getting her to where she needed to be while she was like bleeding out. So I get it.
yeah.
I just like I wouldn't have cared if they just made that some random guy
Mhm.
that just like does the thing. I
Yeah.
don't think it's far fetched to say there are more nice people or people willing to help than just Max, you know? But
It
it just
adds
felt
to the
like
more, like it adds more to like him being the road warrior. So I get it.
Yeah.
it does, but one of my big problems with movies in general, and this is like a personal thing, is I don't like the idea that there is one person in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I think Fury Road is such an amazing movie is the world is moving without Max.
Mhm.
You know, he stumbles into this world, and that's why Mad Max as a series is fun. He's constantly stumbling into things that are moving without him. It's fun
Yeah.
that you're seeing a world that exists without the character. You know, one of the things that Star Wars has been doing lately is everything is about the Skywalkers.
Huh.
Um, and like that family is the family, which
Yeah.
like okay, we could. There's more. There's a whole galaxy of people. And what I like about Mad Max is like, you know, Road Warrior. He just shows up and he's like, "Hey guys," and they're like, "We have a bunch of beef with this big meaty man," and
Mhm.
he's like, "I don't want to help you," but then they end up getting him to help. You know,
Yeah.
Beyond Thunderdome, he just rolls into Bartertown and she's like, "I've got beef with this guy. Help me, and you'll get what you want." You know, the world is doing things without him. So it just, to me, that's always been the fun of these Mad Max movies, and it does take a little bit away from it to just say like, Max already showed up and saved Furiosa, and that's why she is where she is today. Or at
I
least
guess.
Max already showed up and like saw her or something.
Yeah.
That's the big reason. It's not even like anything that the movie did. It's just kind of the implications of that scene on the universe upset me a little bit. But I know that's not everyone's taste, and that's more of a personal gripe. So I don't fault anyone for liking it either. I think that's totally fair.
I feel like it leads to the Wasteland movie also, so it would make sense why he's there. But we'll see.
Uh,
Um, I want to get back to the end credit scene though. Like, I agree with you on
Yes.
that. Like, it didn't bother me, but also I thought it was kind of stupid because it's like, whoa, whoa, hold on, wait. What is going on here? Like, why show that? Like, why not just like say, hey, now watch Fury Road? Because that movie's
And
amazing.
that's my big question. You know, is like there are two reasons it bothers me. One, I hate flat flashbacks. This is obviously like a flash forward of things that I've seen. So if you've seen The Last of Us, this is not super spoilers. This is from the first episode, but if you've seen any of The Last of Us show, they do a flashback at the end of the first episode that is just from the beginning of the first episode. And what that tells me is you don't trust me as a viewer to understand what I'm watching.
feel like
You
that's even
know?
Yeah.
worse than this. I feel like here at
Oh, it for
least
sure is. I think that's one of the
yeah,
worst examples on the planet. I hate that scene so much. And
like
the moment I
that's
saw it, I got a little bit more
yeah,
upset at the show. It's dumb. Just
like
tells me you
it's
don't.
like
But
it's
I
just dumb.
doing the same thing with Fury Road is like, if you didn't understand that the ending was setting up Fury Road, well, here you go.
Yeah,
And like, if I'm a viewer who's already seen Fury Road, I very clearly know that's setting up Fury Road. But if I'm not, then it tells me, oh, there's more to this story. I want to know about it. I do a little bit of research. I go watch Fury Road.
yeah,
But if I do that research after having seen all these clips of Fury Road, it's like, oh, I've seen this moment, I've seen this. Oh, that explosion, that was really cool. Yeah, been there, done that. It's like, I don't understand why it's in the movie if it alienates everybody from Fury Road.
it feels like a
Like
studio
it,
thing too. It feels like a studio man.
oh,
It doesn't feel like
100%.
a George Miller
It,
thing.
it probably was, to be honest. Looking back at it, it probably was a studio thing. Just like, oh, give them some of the memorable moments from Fury Road. Take them down memory lane, or those who
Yep.
haven't seen. But in a way too. I mean, I guess for those who haven't seen Fury Road, because like I said earlier, going back, a lot of people haven't seen any of the previous Mad Max movies going into Fury Road. It could be, taking away from the greatness of Fury Road for those people who are just only seeing Furiosa are just being introduced to the Mad Max franchise without seeing any films and starting off with Furiosa. So I could see that point that you were trying to prove earlier with that, just showing it because it is showing like basically the whole premise of Fury Road and all of its highlights and cool scenes from it. So yeah, but at the end of it, it probably was a studio thing because that's WB, right? Warner Brothers is
Yes.
the distributor for Mad. Yeah, so
That feels like a Warner Brothers thing to do. And like, I think I'd also have 10 times less problems with it if they didn't show the scene where Furiosa's on her knees screaming. Because that is like
Yeah.
such an obvious tell of what's going on in that movie. Like, if I start Fury Road after having seen that scene, I'm going to be like, there's no green place. But like, half the fun of Fury Road is you still feel a little bit of hope that first time you watch it that there is
Mhm.
going to be a green place. And then you get there and you're like, fuck. Especially after watching Furiosa, where you get to see the green
Yeah.
place. You have proof now it exists, and
Mhm.
then you watch Fury Road and it gets taken away. But if I've seen the scene where Furiosa's screaming into the desert, I can put two and two together.
Like it's like
I can figure that
unless you're an
out.
idiot, unless you're an idiot.
Right. And or unless you're like really not trying
I
to think about it, which is also valid.
I would like actually to see. I think we all saw this. We all saw this Fury Road. I would like to
Yes.
actually see someone whose first exposure to Mad Max is this movie, and then I want to see
curious.
like what they think happens, because like I wonder like what what they're thinking if they saw all of that. Like, are they thinking too much of it? Like, do they know what's like going on? Because of course they're not gonna know about like these like in Fury Road, this lady's telling her like, oh, the green the green place, if your directions were correct, you passed it, and it's all gone. All the crops are gone, etc. Like, no, they don't know what we know. So I'd be a little bit curious. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I can definitely come back with that. I might be dragging Via to watch it soon, and can show you what someone who has not seen a Mad Max movie will have to say about it.
yeah,
Because I am also
Yeah.
curious. I'm interested to see how that changes how you view things.
yeah, because like we're looking at it as someone who views it from people. Like I said, as people who watch Fury Road already. So for someone like your friend Vaya, like it might be a little bit different. Whereas, for us, it's like, oh man, like now you're gonna fucking spoil the whole, Fury Road for everyone else. Like, what the hell is wrong with you guys?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and
why
that
not?
is coming at it with the perspective that I already know what happens.
Yeah, like, but it was a little bit weird, I will say. Was it cool? Yeah, I would say it like was cool, but I do think it was a little bit unnecessary. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah, it was strange because when I saw it going on, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be like an post-end credit scene or
that's what
something
I thought.
special." But it's just, yeah, that's what I thought. But then I was like, "Okay, yeah, I see. I saw Fury Road last night, so yeah, this is from Fury Road." So
I
Right,
yeah,
saw it
right.
this morning at 5 a.m. Shadow Viva Radio job. But
nice.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's Furiosa. I mean, unless you guys had other negative. One positive I never mentioned too, by the way. This movie
Hmm.
is, even though it doesn't have much action, it's so brutal, but it's so fucking cool with
The
the
action's so
freaking
good.
dude. We didn't even talk about the weapons used in this movie, like the freaking uh, what's the word? The thing with the big car, the big whatever it's called. Where the thing is like going in a whole circle. Wow, what's it called?
Oh yeah, the Bommy Knocker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, like that thing is
So
so
cool.
freaking cool.
It's so sick.
The
No,
freaking
every time someone started flying in a new way, and there were
yeah.
3 different ways they flew in that movie.
Uh
How do you come up with 3 different flying machines for one gang?
yeah.
That's insane. And every time they did a new one, I was like, this movie just got 10 times better for me. The
Mind
action
you,
was incredible.
it's the fact that George Miller has a whole other movie that he hasn't made yet, full of crazier ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Think
just
about
gonna
that.
get crazier. I mean, if you look at them, they're I mean, if you look at the people from the tribes from the first one, then to Road Warrior and to Thunder, I mean, the tribes and the people, they just get crazier and crazier, more
Yeah.
bizarre. Each group of people you
Hmm.
come across in this so-called wasteland that they call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But overall, I mean, yeah, I mean, the weapons were cool. The cinematography, I mean, the look of the film job. I mean, just love the shots with the desert and just with those fast-paced action sequences. I mean, those car chases too. It's just
Yeah,
so
those
fun
were
to
brutal.
watch. Yeah, they are brutal. Pretty brutal
Like
deaths.
Jack Staff, dude. Oh my god, that was freaking brutal. When they were
Oh,
just for hours upon hours just dragging him with that motorcycle, the dogs biting him. And I like that. That's another thing I like. Even though it's an R-rated movie, so they could go a little bit more all out. Like he still doesn't really. So you're left up to the imagination of what Jack looks like now after getting absolutely destroyed. Um, I kind of fuck with that. I think you. I could. That's why I got to rewatch it too. I think you get a small glimpse of what he looked like post death, and he's just essentially a skeleton, or something like that, or just he looks totally fucked up. Like, um, I think you'll notice it the third time, Aiden, because I know I said it like I said Jack, like, but I know you missed it.
yeah. No,
Um,
I know what you're talking about. I know what skeleton you're talking about. I think it is him, but I'm not positive. I still
yeah,
wouldn't be able to say for sure, like, yeah, that's him.
you got to see the clothes. I think that's what you gotta like.
Yeah.
Um, and like I don't even think it was like a skeleton. It was just like a gray man or something like that. It was like
Mm.
it just did not look like him anymore. And he was a good character, by the way, too. I did like Jack a lot as well.
He was.
Um, I enjoyed his presence in this movie. I don't think there was a single bad character, honestly.
No, I don't think I can think of one.
Like I can't really think of one. Um, yeah, no, I can't really think of a bad character. That says a lot about this movie, like it's the fact
Yeah.
that our biggest complaints about this movie are CGI, like some bad CGI scenes and a weird a weird end credits. Like the fact that
Credits, yeah.
Yeah.
if if the worst thing we can complain about is your end credits scene, then you did a good job.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think those negatives, as much as I shit on them, I don't think they really detract from the movie at all. I don't
Mhm.
think they really brought me out of it for any amount of time longer than like a passing thought of just like, okay, not my choice, but okay. Um, I
Yeah.
don't think it took away from the experience at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. Overall, this is a movie worth watching in the theater, and it sucks because it's not getting the money that like I feel like it should deserve. Because I feel like
Yeah.
George Miller, he had this idea for years, and it just sucks that it's not doing well in the box office. But it definitely is a movie worth experiencing on the big screen, and it's a good start. I feel to like the summer blockbuster because a lot of people like to go to the movies for the summer for action, and good story and cool characters. And this one is not so much as action packed as the previous Fury Road, but the
Mm.
action that it has is still pretty fun and enjoyable. I mean, it kept me going when the car chase, and then we're fighting each other in the scene with Warboy. So overall, though, but it is a movie worth watching in theaters, and hopefully, I mean, I hopefully more people, go and check it out because yeah, it is worth checking out on the big screen.
Yeah, and it's I wonder what it could be too, when it comes to box office because like I guess like the only like big movies out now are this Planet of the Apes, the Garfield movie.
And then
That's
you have
really
Bad
it.
Boys that comes out on
Next week,
Friday,
yeah,
so
Friday.
we'll see how that does. I mean, I know
It's
the
got good
previous
reviews so
Bad
far.
Boys, huh?
It got
So
good
far,
reviews so far.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good because I know the previous Bad Boys movie, it did really well in the box office, and they got it in on time because that movie came out right before the pandemic, like 2 months before the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
So, uh, yeah. So hopefully, I mean, now that it's a summer blockbuster and it did really well 4 years ago, kind of pre-pandemic, hopefully post-pandemic. I mean, it is tough. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, after the pandemic, it just kind of hit theaters pretty hard, and I
Oh
felt
yeah.
like with the Barbie and Oppenheimer, that kind of brought people back, temporarily. But now I feel like it's kind of like going back, to. But we'll see how it goes. It's always, up in the air. Depends on the movie. Depends on people's preferences. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors that play into it. Obviously,
Let me tell
we'll
you,
see how
it's
it
like,
goes.
and it's like, I, I don't know. It's weird. I guess the, I feel like the only things that are gonna do well this year, like super duper well, are Deadpool and Wolverine, Despicable Me
Mhm.
4, Inside Out 2. I
Yes,
think
a
those are
lot of
like the
children for
three.
the most part. Yeah,
And
most
Dune, of
part
course. Dune
children's
did really
movies
good.
pretty do well.
Dune did
Yeah,
really
Dune
good too.
did well.
But and Bad Boys will probably do well too. I just also want to say it makes me sad that this movie's called Bad Boys Ride or Die, and Bad Boys
Yeah,
3
we
was
talked
called
about
Bad Boys for Life.
your life. I know it
It's
should be
right there.
reversed. This
It's
one,
right. But
yeah,
on the other hand, on the other hand, that along with the fact that it released before COVID, it might have been good timing too, considering that anything related to Diddy is absolutely fucked right now. So, it
yeah, that's true
might
too.
have,
Yeah,
it might have been the best that 3 was called for Bad Boys for Life. I do enjoy those movies. I will say, man. Like I love those. Like I'm not like the biggest like super duper Bad Boys fan, but like like I told Aiden, I do want to see the fourth one because like I've watched the other three and I have enjoyed all of them a lot. It has some really cool, like it is some over the top action sequences. Like Bad Boys 2 has some crazy freaking sequences, like that you wouldn't
yeah,
expect
it
out Michael
does.
Bay.
Yeah,
And I liked 3 a lot, and 3 was actually, like 1 and 2 aren't really good movies, they're just really fun action movies, but the third one was actually a pretty good movie. It was surprisingly so toned down and more character driven. Like there wasn't
it
the action
was.
was not as crazy as 1 and 2.
I I agree with you. I mean, I'm a Bad Boys fan too. I'm not like a fanatic about, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy the franchise. And yeah, a three is probably so far is my favorite out of all of them.
Mm.
Um, because like you
2's
said,
my
it's more
favorite.
character driven, and yeah, and it's not directed by Michael Bay. I mean, not that because there are Michael Bay movies that I like, not gonna lie, but Michael Bay,
Yeah.
he loves his, big over the top action uh
Yeah.
sequences. But for the most part, we just have to see how it does. But yeah, it has good reviews, and yeah, we'll just see how it rounds up this weekend. Bad Boys 4 uh, uh comes out this Friday. So I just blanked out on the name for Bad Boys Ride or Die because
Bad
I was
Boys
gonna
Ride
call
or
it Bad
Die.
Boys for Life, but
Yeah.
yeah, but Bad Boys Ride or Die this Friday.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, yeah, so that was Furiosa. I think we all liked it here and everything. And we gave
Absolutely.
you guys a little bit of a preview for Bad Boys Ride or Die. One last thing I do want to ask because this is one of the rare times Aiden is on our podcast, so I feel like I have to because it came out yesterday, and I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Did you see the Venom trailer by any chance?
No, I actually literally was looking at movies that were coming out when you like 5 minutes ago when you
Yeah.
said like these are the only movies I think are gonna do well,
Venom's
and
starting
that's
to
when
do
I
well
found
too.
out there's Venom coming
Yeah.
out. I don't know. Venom 2 was trash, so
It's gonna
It
do well
was,
though.
yeah.
It's gonna do well. Like those
it
movies.
probably will do well. I
It's like
also think Joker will
Transformers.
do well.
Well, yeah, Joker
Oh yeah,
too. I think
Joker. Yeah,
that
you
that
have
comes out
Joker in
this year.
October.
And Beetlejuice is
Yeah,
probably due one
October.
too, honestly.
Beetlejuice, yeah.
Yeah,
Beetlejuice.
So
We
that's
have
not
a
a trailer you liked either.
it's not. I'm not a huge fan of bringing back old franchises in general, but obviously Mad Max did it well, so I can't be too unforgiving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not trailer, so thoughts existed minutes ago.
Can I spoil something in the trailer?
By all means.
So, in the trailer, first off, Mordo's in, like the guy who plays Mordo is in the film as a military guy. But
Okay.
there's a scene where Mordo, or not Mordo, military Mordo, is in a bar next to a bartender, and he has a cup and puts the symbiote in the cup. Now, you're thinking, what does this have to do with anything? Well,
I'm
if
thinking No Way Home immediately.
yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly what it is. It's the same
Awesome.
bar as No Way Home with the same bartender, and on until till the movie comes out, it's like, what the fuck is this? Because that scene was in the MCU, and then this is in the Sony Marvel universe. So and no, none of it makes sense unless they have the same person, same bar in the same in their universe as well. Like
Or
it's
unless that scene wasn't in the MCU somehow. So,
well, it doesn't
somehow.
make sense because he's talked about Iron Man and Thanos and all this stuff, so it was in the MCU.
Yeah, I don't know.
None of it makes sense, dude. These movies are so like so many of these movies are so freaking inconsistently bad. I mean, no, they're consistently bad. What am I saying? Inconsistent, but they're like so. It's like freaking Morbius with the Spider-Man poster stuff. Like
Morbius.
Oh
ugh,
my.
that was on
I
TV today,
I
by the way.
almost watched Madam Web today. I mean, no, yesterday.
You need
Not
But
to.
then
worth
I
You
it.
need
changed my.
to. No, it's worth it.
I
It's worth it.
know.
Don't
Yeah,
listen to Aidan.
He wants me to watch it. He wants me to watch it, but yeah, like
All right,
I
hear
was
me
going
out.
to, but then I changed my mind. Yeah.
Hear me
I mean, I'm
out.
gonna watch it, but I'm just like in no rush to watch it.
Okay, hear me out.
It's definitely like if you're a fan of Spider-Man, you should watch it to understand how bad it is and laugh at it.
Yeah.
But it's not like if you're looking for a good movie, don't even try.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
try
yeah.
No,
starting it.
yeah, no, yeah.
Hear me out because I feel like this is the only way we can watch this. Like, I will watch Madam Web again with you, Hobby. I will do it. I will, and Aiden,
What?
eh, if you want to, I will bring drinks and we could watch a movie that way, just drinking
If we
throughout
could
this
find a
movie.
drinking game out of Madam Web, I would partake.
It's so free. Oh, it's so easy. Every time Ezekiel Sims doesn't know how to use his powers, we'd be drunk.
Every time he doesn't know how to use his powers, every time someone does a medical mishap where they just like can't do CPR right, it's like
Every time
because they
Madam Web sees
constantly do it
visions.
wrong. Oh God, you would die.
I die of alcohol poisoning.
Every
It's
time
so
they make
bad.
a random nod to Peter Parker.
Without saying his name. Every
Yeah.
time we find out that Spider-Man's culturally appropriating a tribe from Argentina or something like
Why is that a thing, man? Why?
that.
Jeez.
Like Javi, I
I would
think. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would definitely participate in this viewing of Madam Web. This would be fun.
Because like, the thing is, Javi, it's a awful movie, but it's like, and like, it's not even so bad it's good. Like, it's just genuinely awful. But it's one of those
Bad,
movies
yeah.
where it's so bad that you need to actually watch it to see it why it's actually
How
that
bad it
bad.
is. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's one to its credit, it's at least so bad that you can at least enjoy it by watching how like having a good laugh in it. Because when me, Aiden, and Cam went to see it, I think it took us 5 minutes to realize. Like we knew the movie was bad, but like when we saw it in theaters, it took us like like 3 minutes at least, like 3 or 5 minutes to
I think it's
realize
like the
this movie
first
sucks.
time someone says something.
Yeah,
It's like the first moment.
no, it's the camera angles, the freaking camera angles in the first scene.
Camera.
Where it looked like they're
Oh,
in
yeah,
freaking
the camera
Modern
angles are so
Family.
bad.
Like it
Oh, like
shot.
Modern Family.
It was like shot like Modern Family in The Office, bro. Like what the fuck?
Jeez.
It's just nothing about
Damn.
him. we were like, oh my god, this movie already sucks. Like it only took like a couple minutes for us to like be like, yeah, this movie stinks. And then by the as the movie kept progressing and progressing, we're like, holy shit, it keeps getting worse. Like, but like it's so
Yeah.
there's something about it that like makes it engaging because you're just like, what is the dumbest thing they could do next? And it just keeps getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. And it's like, holy shit, like this is insane. Like there's just there's just
Jeez.
no, it's just one of those movies where it's like, how does this exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it. Like, it just makes no sense why. It makes no sense why that whole
Yeah.
universe exists. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Like,
Man.
literally zero. Other than to just give Sony money, but like, it just makes no sense. It's just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah,
I
it's
And
ridiculous.
I just had to bring it up though. Venom the Last Stand. Like, it just. But it looks fun by the way. They had trailer also had like a spider symbiote and like. So there you go. You have your Spider Man.
nice.
Sure.
No,
Sure. Why not?
it looks like freaking Michael Bay like directed this film, and
Michael Bay
honestly,
directed it.
if Michael Bay did direct this film, I think it'd be an upgrade. And I never say that about
That's
Michael Bay. Like that's the bar. That's the bar we're at. Because at least like see, it's like the Transformers movies suck, but like they also don't suck when it comes to action. Like I actually have a great time each time because the action's always fun, except for five. Five stinks. But
Yeah.
mm.
that's how I feel with Venom. Venom, like the movie sucks, but like it does enough for me to like be engaged because and have fun with it. Because it's
The
not like
first
Mad
one's not
Max.
even bad.
No.
Like it's obviously not like 100% true to the character because like how is he Venom without Spider-Man? That just doesn't make sense. But like I don't think the first one is necessarily a bad movie if you take it for what it is. The second one is for sure.
Oh yeah, the second one. I like the second one
I
more than the
agree.
first, to be honest. But that's because I like Carnage more than I like Riot. I don't care for Riot.
Carnage.
That's
Um,
fair. Okay, that's
and
fair. Carnage is a cooler character.
Woody
Yeah,
Harrelson is
Carnage
just
was a
fun in
good
that movie
villain.
too. Like he wasn't like
Yeah,
it
it's good.
wasn't like like accurate, but like Woody Harrelson made at least that real fun. If it was anyone else, it would have
Mhm.
stunk. But with Woody, he made it work for me. He it was a fun role, and seeing Carnage just like go ape shit against everyone, like I fucked with it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that's it, guys. I guess the last thing here, just to keep it, one last piece of, one piece of news. Um, as you guys probably already expected, anyways. There's like a thing that came out like an hour ago that says the next Avengers movie may feature more than 60 characters returning to the MCU, and it's already set to be
Jesus.
Marvel's biggest production ever. One of Marvel's biggest productions ever. It looks like
Damn.
What?
Mark Ruffalo's back, Chris Hemsworth, Simu Liu, Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Hiddleston, Karen Gillan. Um, Nothing about Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans, but they'll probably be back too as variants. That's it's both concerning to me, but also like if it's Secret Wars, it's gonna be cool. But like also, I don't know. This multiverse stuff
Are we
is
just like
bullshit.
killing the Kang stuff?
I don't even
Mm.
know what they're doing anymore. There's none of this makes sense.
Yeah, that's like oh
The MCU
yeah.
stinks, dude. Besides like Deadpool and Wolverine, I can't get into it anymore. And Fantastic Four, I need to see that movie. But
If
and
they
it's
do
funny,
anything with Spider-Man, he's
and
he's set up to be the OG Spider-Man suit
yeah,
and everything. So if they do stuff with him, I'm excited for that. Otherwise, I'm not. I'm
yeah.
not looking forward to
You know
it.
what's funny actually? Besides Spider Man, the movies I'm most excited for aren't even in the main MCU. Like the Fantastic Four is apparently in an alternate timeline, and Deadpool and
Hmm.
Wolverine, well, self-explanatory. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of sad that I don't care about the mainline MCU, but like, I care about literally anything else that's not mainline. Like, I care more about Marvel Zombies than anything else too. Besides those three movies I just mentioned. Oh, and Blade. I'm excited for
Yeah,
Blade if that ever happens.
if that
I
ever
know Blade.
happens.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. It's not. I can dream. A man can dream, but
I'll
it's
I'll
just not
dream.
gonna
I'll
happen.
have hope. I want a Blade movie again.
We'll just have that one cameo in Eternals, and that's it. Yeah, are they gonna be in this movie? I don't even know. Like, what? This whole
I
universe
don't
is
know
a
what they would
mess, dude.
do.
This universe stinks right now. Like, I don't even know what to say about it. It's just like I never felt so unexcited. X-Men
Hmm.
97 is the best thing they've had in a while. Like this, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just a
Yep.
mess. I'm more excited about the DCU than anything at this point
That's interesting. I could probably get behind that at this point
because
with
James
James
Gunn's
Gunn
Superman,
behind it.
yeah,
Yeah, James Gunn.
Yeah,
Teen
I could get behind
Titans,
that.
um,
Yep.
like all that stuff, Swamp Thing, uh, Creature Commandos, like all those stuff like sounds interesting to me. I'm in. Peacemaker season 2,
Yeah.
like, yeah. But I think I'll end it there for now, guys. Thank you guys for joining. I think next week will probably be a regular podcast episode. I don't think we're gonna do something like this for Bad Boys Ride or Die. I mean, we could, but like, I don't know. Like, this was cool, so maybe I don't know if you guys are interested. We could, but um, we'll see. I don't know. If you
See how it
guys
goes.
vibe with
Yeah,
it, yeah. Um, I think the next time we could probably do something like this if you guys are down. It's probably I'd say probably Deadpool and Wolverine would be the one where we like I
Yeah.
would like to have something like this, guaranteed. But
for
Bad
sure.
Boys for it, we'll see. Um, but definitely Deadpool and Wolverine and Joker, and I think those are the only big movies coming out. I guess Beetlejuice maybe. Um, and yeah, this is one of the only times you'll see me and Aiden agree on anything. uh,
That's true.
s-
That's
uh,
true. We're notorious for disagreeing. So enjoy a movie where we did agree on most of it.
like it's either a movie that we agree like most of the time it's a movie we either disagree on. Like we always have disagreements on Spider-Man stuff, which won't get into. We could say that for another time.
That's
But
that's a whole video of its own.
that's a whole video we could do. But it's either that
Mm.
or we agree, but the movie we watch is so freaking bad that we
Yep. You
like
can't do anything but agree that it's bad, you know?
yeah, like I expect like the not the Purge, the Crow to be like that.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe Beetlejuice, but we'll see. Maybe that could be good. I don't know. Could be, or it could suck.
We'll see.
We'll see. But anyways, guys, check out Sonic Wave Radio. The link will be maybe in the description here, unless YouTube bans me for it, because they kind of did something like that last time. And you can listen to Aiden every which way every Tuesday at eight
Right.
p.m. or late night at midnight every single night. Um, you could also
I didn't
listen.
know it was every night.
Yeah,
This is news to me.
it's every day. I forgot. I don't know. I thought I told you that. Yeah, it's every night at like midnight, but the prime time spot's 8 p.m.
Mm.
for new episodes whenever that happens. And
Soon, soon.
and then obviously you can listen to Javi, or watch Javi's videos here. He has a review coming out. At the time of release, it's probably gonna be Thursday. So tomorrow he'll have a review on Civil War, and he has two next week on. We have the Fall Guy, and we also have
Right.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom Planet.
Yeah, I named it Hobby's version because I already did mine on the shorts just to differentiate it, you know. Definitely
Yeah.
not a Taylor Swift reference, but yeah. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you for joining us on this episode. We appreciate it a lot. We'll see you guys next time here on Real Rap Entertainment and on the Real Rap Podcast and on the Real Rap website and Sonic Rave Radio and Real Rap Joint. So many things. Peace out, guys.